Welcome to the new series of AFC Outdoors, Australia's premier fishing tournament series. Last year, this country's top pro anglers fought it out in 5 arenas fishing for bream. This year, we've gone one better. No longer are our anglers competing as individuals, they'll be in teams. And bream won't be singled out as the only target. This year, bass too will have to avoid the lures and flies of our pros. It's double the anglers, double the species, and double the action. You're watching the Australian Fishing Championship.
G'day, I'm Steve Starling. These 4 teams represent the absolute cream of tournament angling in Australia, and they're vying for the opportunity to become AFC champions if they can beat their opponents at 8 hand-picked arenas down the east coast of Australia. There's 2 members in each team, a bass expert and a bream specialist, and each of them will fish 4 events in the 8-round series. The rules are simple. Within a time limit, the bream anglers need to bring in their 5 best fish alive to be weighed. For the bass anglers, the deal's the same, except they're only allowed to bring back their 2 best fish, and it's all lure and fly casting. No trolling, no bait. The heaviest bag earns the most points, the lightest bag the least. Those are the rules. Now let's meet the teams.
First up is Team Netspace. Their bass angler Jason Ehlrich won the 2003 ABT Bass Pro Final, and he'll be determined to add the AFC Championship to his trophy cabinet. Team Netspace's bream angler is one of last year's competitors, Adam Reuter, and he's out to prove why he's competing with the top guys.
I think the team's environment is awesome because on the pre-fish days, I'm going to use a lot of what Jace is going to teach me on those days in his bass rounds, and I might even implement that into bream fishing.
Team Mercury have a strong lineup this year. Their bass angler, John Schofield, is by far the highest money winner in ABT Bass tournament history, and he'll be keen to solidify his reputation as #1 on the water. Mercury's bream angler, Tim Morgan, finished second in last year's inaugural AFC Outdoors Championships, so winning this year has more meaning to him than most.
I believe Team Mercury's strong points are, both John and myself, in the bass. He's probably the best known bass angler in Australia, and I've gone pretty well in the bream over the last few years, so as long as we can fish together, work as a team, we're going to be pretty hard to beat.
Team Savage have age and wisdom on their side this year. Bass young gun Carl Jocumsen has a fishing maturity far beyond his 19 years. Savage's bream angler Ian Miller will be hoping that his experience in last year's series will help keep the team fighting all the way to the final round.
Obviously, if we both start well and continue to go well, we're going to win. It's that simple. If a team can do that, they're going to win. So we'll be trying to do it. If one of us happens to falter at one of the rounds, well, we'll just try and pick it up the next time round.
Our last team is Team Shimano. Their bass specialist, Harry Watson, is a cool character, but don't let his calm nature fool you. He's a real gun in bass angling. And finally, last year's AFC Outdoors champion, Chris Wright. Shimano's bream angler certainly won't give up his coveted title in a hurry.
Now, Chris, as reigning champion of the AFC, surely there's got to be more pressure on you than anyone else in the field.
Yeah, I suppose there is, Steve. The other guys really want to beat me this year, but I really want to win again this year. Probably even more than last year, to tell you the truth, because I want to prove to everyone at home it was no fluke.
Well, good luck with it, and we'll see you in action in 2 rounds' time on the Gold Coast. But first of all, let's have a look at the arena for this first round here at Lake Boondooma. The first of our 4 bass arenas is Lake Boondooma in southeastern Queensland, northwest of Australia's peanut capital of Kingaroy. Built in 1983, it's since been stocked with more than 500,000 bass and well over 1 million golden perch. Following a few dry seasons, the water level's down to about 40% at the moment, but the fishing's still great. Earlier this year, the ABT Bass Pro Grand Final was staged here, and competitors caught some terrific bags. Now, the gun techniques here in Lake Boondooma at the moment tend to revolve around an early morning bite, casting things like these rattling lipless crankbaits in towards the shallow weed bed edges and cranking them back out looking for a reaction strike. That'll happen early, but as the sun gets higher and burns off the cloud, the fish will move into deeper water, and so will our competitors, using their Navman sounders to look for concentrations of bass in deeper water and dropping soft plastics like these mojos down into them.
Boondooma is a favourite dam with many of the tournament anglers, and it's certainly a favourite with me. I love it.
I've fished Boondooma a lot. It's one of my favourite dams. Great big bass, a lot of bass, and you can catch them on a lot of different techniques, so I can't wait. I'm really keen. See you later.
I'll be using bait cast tackle mainly, Shimano reels, G Loomis rods, and if the fish go deep and I need to fish finesse, I'll go to probably a spin stick.
I'll be using Strudwick rods and Shimano reels, and either 20-pound or 10-pound breaking strain braided line.
Perfect days, whatever the fish do and whatever the weather does, you have to fish it, so you don't really get a choice.
Well, it's not going to happen, but I would prefer it to be blowing a gale and raining, because it tends to play around with people's minds.
Well, there you have it, all the good oil straight from the horse's mouth, and now it's over to Matthew Campbell for the start of round one.
Thanks, Steve. The mist is rising off beautiful Lake Boondooma in Queensland as our pros prepare for the start of the first of our bass rounds. Before we get underway, let's recap the rules. Our pros are fishing within a 6-hour time limit, looking for a bag of 2, the length to be a minimum 30 centimetres to the fork of the tail, and the heaviest bag will win a maximum 10 points. Before we start, let's meet Team Netspace's Jason Ehlrich for the first of our bass angler profiles.
First went fishing with Dad, and Dad used to take us out to the rivers out west, and we'd fish out there for yellowbelly and cod. Caught a lot of them, and then slowly progressed into bass fishing, which is what I really love to do.
Jason's love affair with bass fishing was quickly cemented 5 years ago when the ABT Bass Tournament started. Since then, he hasn't missed a single round.
In a tournament, it's always that much more enjoyable, because catching a big fish then, the heart starts to pound and it's just a lot more exciting. Yes, there's one.
Jason's not into tournament fishing for an easy ride though. He relishes the challenge that the sport presents.
I find it more rewarding to catch fish when the fishing's tough, because you put yourself to the test, and when you do that, it's always that much better when you do conquer the fish and you start catching fish and work out the pattern that's going to catch fish.
And Jason sure knows how to do that, as his previous competition results have shown.
My highlight in tournament fishing would have to be winning the ABT Bass Grand Final in 2003. Just the best feeling to be on top and be number one.
And number one's where Jason wants to be today. So too Harry Watson from Team Shimano. As the Club Marine clock counts down to 6 a.m, the siren sounds and our pros are underway for round one of AFC Outdoors. And John Schofield from Team Mercury away well, and we have heard that Team Mercury and Team Savage are heading for the same location.
John and I have the same spot. We both want to go to the same spot. It's just on a point, a lot of weed off it. Hopefully there should be some good fish off it.
And coming up after the break, our pros get their first taste of Boondooma bass. Welcome back to AFC Outdoors. We're with Jason Ehlrich from Team Netspace. Now he's fishing the weed edges. Nothing in the well at the moment. It's only early. He's looking to get off to a good start.
When I'm fishing in close to that weed, I'll wind a little bit faster just to keep the jackal out of the weed. Because they've got treble hooks, they pick up weed fairly easily. So I just try and follow the contour of the weed bed as close as I can for the first part of that retrieve. Fire another cast out there. And then go, once it reaches the edge of the weed, I just go into that slow roll again. And yes! Here's a start. Doesn't feel too big, but oh, come on, stay on, mate. Stay with me. He's bigger than I first thought. He was just taking it a bit easy, but he's seen the boat now.
Well, this could be a great first fish for Jason if it just stays connected. Needs to stay calm, stay relaxed, land the fish into the boat. Well, it's a quality fish, and this could be his first keeper.
Oh, that's a start. Makes me feel better. So he was, like I was saying, riding close to that weed. Just taking a gold lure, that one. That's the gold jackal. And that fish is a start, but I don't think it's going to be big enough. We're going to have to upgrade on him.
So there's still plenty of work ahead for Team Netspace. Now, as we heard at the start, Team Savage and Team Mercury have gone to the same location, and it's paid off for Team Mercury's John Schofield, who already has one in the live well.
There's a few active fish in there. It's 2 bites we've had now.
And he's on again. What a start for John Schofield and Team Mercury. Just 40 minutes into the competition, and he pulls the fish into the boat, and already this looks like being number 2 for Team Mercury.
There we go, just after 6:30. Second fish in the live well. That's always a relief.
Upgrading here on in for Team Mercury. Bouncing bass inside the live well. As we take a look at John's first fish from some 25 minutes ago, just at 6:15, look at that aggressive strike action. And once again, he just poles the fish into the boat. John Schofield's won more money on the ABT Tour than anyone else. He knows this is a great start as we cross to Steve Starling for an update.
Johnny Schofield came straight to this spot this morning and he looked very confident about it, and his confidence has already paid off. He's got 2 fish in the well, he's missed a lot of other hits, and it's interesting to have a look at what he's fishing here. It's a fairly shallow sloping point with a very luxuriant weed bed along the edge of it. It wouldn't seem an obvious spot to a lot of bass fishermen, but he knows that they're here. And what he's doing is throwing lipless crankbaits in towards the edge of the weed bed and slow rolling them out. He's getting a lot of little taps, but every now and again one's connecting. It's really paying off for him.
Team Mercury setting the pace at Lake Boondooma. Now this is Harry Watson from Team Shimano. Already with 1 fish in the live well, he's on for his second. 90 minutes into the competition, the important thing is for him, it's his bag limit, it's onwards and upwards from here on in.
Oh yeah, he'll do us. That's one we've been looking for. Fraction over a kilo. Get a couple more like that and might not win, but I'll be a bit happier.
Now, as we mentioned, Harry already had 1 in the live well. Here's a replay of his first fish caught an hour earlier, just on the legal limit of 30 centimetres to the fork of the tail. He knows he'll need to upgrade that one. One person already looking to upgrade is Team Mercury's John Schofield. 2 keepers in the well at the moment. He's stuck to his plan from yesterday's pre-fish. For 2 hours now, he's been fishing the weed edges without moving. And in go the hooks for number 3.
That's the one. This is a reasonable fish, although sometimes it's hard to tell.
Well, John's being a little bit more cautious here than his first 2 fish. He's got the net out. He can see now that this is a good-sized fish. He just needs to be careful. He knows this is going to be an upgrade if he just gets it in the boat.
Yes! Yes, you beauty! Oh! Oh, that's a bit better fish.
It is a beautiful fish for Team Mercury. No doubt the best fish we've seen this morning. Now we're back with Jason Ehlrich from Team Netspace, trying a new strategy moving into deep water.
I just had a little bump and I'm on. There we go.
The change of strategy working for Jason Ehlrich. It doesn't appear to be a big fish, but if it's legal, it'll be his second keeper.
In a tournament, they have to be 30 to the fork of their tail, so he can go in the well.
Number 2 for Team Netspace, but still plenty of time to upgrade that one. Now this is Carl Jocumsen from Team Savage. 1 fish in the well. Is this number 2?
Oh, he doesn't feel real big. Oh no, he's got a bit of fight in him. He might be a scorer. He'll just be a scorer if he is. Yeah, he might go. He might go. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I've got my 2. Now I can just concentrate on trying to upgrade him.
Second fish for Carl Jocumsen as we take a look at a replay of his first, coming at around 7:40 this morning. A medium-sized fish, so there looks to be plenty of work ahead for Team Savage. On the move now with Team Mercury and John Schofield. As you can see, all our pros have a full bag. John's decided on a change of tactic, something that's working right now for Jason Ehlrich.
Nice fish here. Oh, just hit me off the bottom. He's an upgrader for what I've got, but he's not that huge. I don't think. He's coming easy now. Steer him away from that fence, which is just behind me.
Looking good for Jason, just over halfway, and he's upgrading.
Oh, he's fresh.
He's being cautious with this fish. He's had a change of tactics after a pretty quiet spell. He knows that this will be a good-sized fish. It'll give him confidence for the rest of the morning, and he's happy.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Feels good to get a bit bigger fish in the boat. Wasn't happy with that smaller one at all.
Coming up after the break, as the clock ticks down, the pressure starts to get to our pros.
Oh, I've pulled the hooks on it. Ah, what am I doing?
Welcome back to AFC Outdoors. This is round 1 from Lake Boondooma, and we're watching Carl Jocumsen from Team Savage. Spent the morning watching John Schofield catch some good-sized fish and now just trying to vertically jig his lure, trying to torment the fish into a strike and perhaps an upgrade.
Yes, got him. Yes. Oh, not very big. Oh, I've dropped him. God. There's fish on the sounder. I've just seen these couple fish here. See, they're just coming through and I just dropped straight down the electric motor and I just twitched it and he nailed it. But they're not quite on the jog because they're not. Yeah. Oh, there he is. Yes, got him. Yeah. Yes, good fish too. Yes. Just straight down that. Oh, I've pulled the hooks on it. Ah, what am I doing? God. Carl. Yep, he's hit it again. The big school. Big school of them. Yes. How lucky's that? Oh. There's a big school down there. I've just dropped it. I've dropped that fish and I've dropped it straight back down. Another fish has just climbed all over it. Be a bass. Oh yeah. Yeah, he's a nice little bass. Oh yeah, he's an upgrader. For sure.
Well, it was yes, no, wait, but persistence has paid off for Carl Jocumsen and Team Savage, and perhaps there's more to come.
I've just pulled this little one out. I'm putting that fella in there, so he is longer and he's going to be heavier, only just, but he's just a little bit more, so I'm going to let this fella go. He's gone, and I'm putting that little bit bigger one in the well. Oop, and I'll get back out there.
Clever use of the nav man by Team Savage's Carl Jocumsen. And here's a man who knows how to use his equipment properly, Harry Watson from Team Shimano. Now, we saw earlier he's got 2 fish in the well, one of them a little bit smaller than the other, so he's really looking to upgrade here. And by the looks of this fish, it's a good one. It's promising.
In the net there, buddy. Ooh. That's what we wanted.
A beautiful fish for Harry Watson. And with just over an hour to go, Team Shimano are upgrading, as is Team Netspace's Jason Ehrlich. Here's Steve Starling for another update.
Jason's just caught quite a nice fish out here in deep water. He's weighing it now to see if it's bigger than one of the other ones he's got in the tank.
Unfortunately, he's small. We'll let him go.
He doesn't think it is. He's putting it back over the side. It was 1.1 kilos, so it bodes fairly well for his bag. If you can let a 1.1 kilo fish go, it's not a bad bag.
A great example of catch and release by Jason Ehrlich. He must be pretty confident about the 2 fish he already has in the live well, and he is. With 6 minutes remaining, he's headed back to the weigh-in, confident that he's done enough. He may be the dark horse of the competition. He's just gone past Harry Watson at Team Shimano. What a risk this is. There is penalties for any pro that arrives back in the weigh-in late. He's trying for one more cast, one last crack at it. He doesn't seem too worried, and he's on.
That's the one we wanted. That's the one we want. That's the one. Quick change of lure. Tell me he's a big fish. Oh, he thumped that lure. Oh, he's a good fish. This fella. Big fish. Yeah. Ooh.
Look at that fish. By far the biggest we've seen today. And could it be the winning one for Team Shimano, or could it prove costly? Has Harry run out of time? We'll find out after the break as our Bass Pros head in for the weigh-in from round 1 at Lake Boondooma.
It's going to be close, but I think I needed one more upgrader by the sound of it. I think Harry's got good ones, but we'll see what happens.
Welcome back to AFC Outdoors. We're with Harry Watson, who made it back in time. He's unloading his bag of 2, and remember that big fish was caught with just 6 minutes to go. 2 of our pros have already weighed in, and after a good start, John Schofield struggled for Team Mercury, ended up with 2.65 kilos, ahead of Carl Jocumsen from Team Savage at 2.4. But the man we're looking at now, looking to surpass those 2, is Harry Watson from Team Shimano.
Here he is. Harry Watson, give me those fish, mate. Now, listen, you play things fairly close to the chest out there. You were keeping it fairly quiet from your opponents, but we saw you catch a couple of nice fish. You caught a lot of fish today. How many do you reckon you got?
Oh, somewhere between 15 and 20 if you count the rats.
But you ended up with 2 beautiful fish, really fat fish. They're going to weigh extra well. The mark to beat at the moment is 2.65.
Should be pretty close, I think.
I think it's going to be more than close, mate. It's 3.07. We've got a new leader, Harry Watson. Well done, mate.
The only man that can beat Harry Watson is Team Netspace's Jason Ehlrich.
Here he is, Jason Ehlrich, and you've had a nervous wait while everyone else weighs in, and you've got two beautiful bass there. Again, nice fat fish. I know you had a big day. I saw you catch quite a few fish, but then you had a quiet spell in the middle, didn't you?
I did have a bit of a quiet spell, but yeah, ended up working edges and eventually, yeah, got a couple nice fish off of them.
Well, it paid off for you, but you've got to beat 3.07, Harry Watson and the Shimano team. They're on 3.07, and you have got 2.81. Close but no cigar.
Harry Watson and Team Shimano, our winners for round one, and what a cast that last cast of the day turned out to be. It gave him the maximum points, then it gave him the Nitro Big Fish of the Day at 1.61 kilos. As we check the leaderboard after round one, Team Shimano on top with a maximum of 10 points, plus the 2 for the Nitro Big Fish of the Day, Team Netspace on 8, followed by Team Mercury on 6 and Team Savage on 3. The day belonged to Harry Watson. Here he is with Steve Starling.
Were you happy with the way you fished today?
Yeah, because a couple of things worked. At one stage there, I fished a spot that must have had 50 casts, and I thought to myself, no, I've got to change lures. So I changed the lure and caught the heaviest bass there on the first cast.
As Harry found today, changing lures can win you a competition, but so too can changing locations, and our pro anglers use their Navman fish finders to do just that. They use sonar beams to see what's down below their boat, and they can even guess the size of the fish from the signals on the screen. It's also a mapping GPS to save your favourite fishing spots and plug straight into the Mercury and Mariner outboards to give full information about what's happening in the engine. You won't believe the other features packed into these units. Check them out at your local Navman dealer today.
Some great opening round points there for the boys from Team Shimano. And look, if you missed last year's AFC series on television, or you just want to relive some of that great action, make sure you grab a copy of the DVD from any good retailer. And if you've ever dreamt about being involved in a tournament series like this one, check out our website at afcoutdoors.com.au and you could join us next time round. And speaking of next time, next week we stay with bass when we visit lovely Lake Lentils on Queensland's Fraser Coast. But just before we go this week, a few words of wisdom from the conqueror of Boondooma, Team Shimano's Harry Watson.
The tackle I used at Boondooma was a Loomis 783 crankbait rod, a Shimano 1000 reel, platypus 12-pound super braid, and a 6 kilo Siglon fluorocarbon leader. The technique I used at Boondooma was to cast these lipless crankbaits out, let them sink to the bottom over structure or near weed beds, then to slowly wind them back, lipping the bottom or just touching the top of the weed, bumping structure, etc., so that the fish thought that this little fella was a bait fish, etc., and hopefully pounced on it, which worked for me today.